Hello, welcome back to the Edge and Flow podcast. This is TJ Schwartz. I'm here with my co-host Lucas Burnley. We just finished a nice Thanksgiving weekend. We're here to talk about knives, knife making, bevel grinding, design, fires, emergencies
Oh
sometimes.
man.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm feeling pretty rested.
Good.
It's not the norm after holidays, but we stayed home this year and just we didn't host and it was
Hmm.
awesome. Got to
Yeah.
spend time with friends.
It's good to have those
Yeah.
slow down every once in a while.
Just different flavors, man, different
Hmm.
experiences. I think with the kids too, it's really good to do the hosting thing sometimes and let them see that process and
Hmm.
good to go to someone else's house and do that
Yeah.
experience. Yeah, man. So it's good. What about you guys?
Yeah. We took quite a bit of time off, partly intentionally and part not. So I don't know if we're going to get into that now, but we had Thanksgiving, obviously, and then the shop almost burned down. So we were evacuated.
Let's get into that. What
Uh,
day? What day was that?
So that would have been Monday of last week, Monday before Thanksgiving. And you and I were going to record.
That's right.
And like 30 minutes before, I was like, I need a little bit of caffeine before a podcast. I'm going to go grab something. I walk out the door, enormous column of smoke behind the shop. Like, I mean, volcanic level column of smoke. And I couldn't see what it was coming from. It was obscured by our shop. I knew it wasn't our shop because, I mean, we just live we're in a metal building. That much
Right.
smoke
You would have known.
would have been obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just immediately grabbed Dalton. I'm like, dude, what? Look at that. We got to go figure out what's going on. So we open the back door to the shop, which we never do because it just goes into an alley and we don't ever go back there. And there's just a firefighter with a hose literally right outside the door. And so it had been burning for an hour and we didn't know. And there already had fire engines on it.
Whoa. You
Yeah. And
guys
there's
didn't hear the sirens. You got
no,
headphones on and machines running probably.
yeah, exactly. And so what it was is it's the main street of the town we live in, which is a tiny little town of 1,000 people, but just a little old-timey main street with this bar called the Double Diamond, and it's kind of a bar restaurant, and there's a couple little like businesses attached to it, little hair salon or whatever, and it's just engulfed. I mean, it's like 8 in the morning, so I mean, that it's a bar at 8 in the morning, luckily there's no one in there from what I hear. But something sparked it off and the thing just burned, man. It was crazy. So cops started coming around doing a bunch of circles. They're doing like head counts for the whole block to, just figure out who's there
Whoa.
and where people are. Cop comes up to our shop and he's like, yeah, you should probably just, get stuff out of your shop. Honestly, anything you don't want in there. And he didn't like kick us out, but he's like, yeah, you should probably clear out. And so we had a vehicle parked in the shop that I was just storing in here. And so I got that
Hmm.
out. I mean, unless we had a forklift ready, we're not moving anything of real value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just got out of here and went and kind of wrapped around the block and got to where we could watch it. And I mean, they called just about every fire engine probably within a 50-mile radius. It was they shut down the whole town basically because the town is just the one main street and blocked it
Wow.
all off. And they were, I mean, they were pumping so much water on it that like at our house there was zero water pressure. Like if you turn the faucet on, there's no water.
And
That's just
this is like a single structure fire, right?
yeah,
Like
and
a
it's kind of like a
freestanding
block.
restaurant.
Yeah, it's kind of like it is part of it. It's lucky the whole city is kind of like the old timey where it's all connected, one
Oh
big
yeah,
long
yeah, yeah.
chain. But this one building is like separated by its own alley all the way around it, just luckily. And so, it's a little worrisome because you can't, there's so much smoke, you can't really see what's burning. But it's just being an old town. Like if it had burned down the rest of the block, I mean, it could have taken like half the town out. But
Dude,
it
that's
was
wild.
probably 20, 15 feet away from our shop, but separated by an alley. And our shop's a metal building. So it's kind of fairly safe. But yeah, huge explosions. I don't know if it was gas lines or like grease or what, but it's
Dude,
pretty
that's
epic.
scary. That my first question to you is if you had insurance.
Well, I called him, as soon as the fire started, I saw that, called the insurance company, made sure doubled. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we have insurance. But
It's a good
but
one, dude. This is the kind of stuff like being a knife maker for so long. This is I like bring that up because it's a reminder because over the years, like I know a lot of guys that like they don't carry insurance. They don't, it's that like second order thinking
Yeah,
sometimes like isn't always intuitive to us. So
yeah,
insure your shop.
yeah, 100%. And I mean, and depending on how you're doing it, like even if you're just going for like a minimal insurance package, like it's
Yeah.
not that much,
Yeah.
it's just do it. And yeah, so we'll clear it out of the shop, and thought we were going to lose utilities because we're on natural gas and obviously the
Uh,
electrical. And I was amazed that they didn't have to shut us down. I was worried they were going to shut the gas off and the whole shop was going to like freeze basically. But no, they didn't shut the utilities off, and we did leave. We just took the day off because um, I don't know. You from where we have no windows in the shop. It's like I don't know
right.
if we're
You
just
don't know
gonna
what's going on.
work next to a big fire and not know.
Yeah.
So we just took the day off and came back in, worked the next day, and of course it's Thanksgiving week, so ended up being just like a 1.5, 2 day week kind of deal. So ended up being a relaxing week in terms of the shop not burning
Overall.
down and taking a bunch of time off, and
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
pretty
this week
good.
we're back at it.
So, I mean, that's like you run so efficient, losing a day. I mean, that's like a literal fire drill, right? Like so
Hmm.
you lose a day, short week, pre-holiday. How did that affect your like schedule output?
Yeah, yeah. So we do our weekly drop every single week. We don't ever miss a week at this point. And so that was the one thing. It's like it's going to be Black Friday. It's the Black Friday drop. So we
Right.
can't. That'd be tough to not do that at least. And but usually we're building custom orders every week as well from the previous week. And so
Right.
we just ice the custom orders because if you're doing custom orders, that's probably the slower part of the
Right.
overall process. So we just stalled, so we're doing those custom orders this week, which isn't too big of a deal. And then we just focused for the couple days on the drop to make sure we had it ready.
Nice.
So
So
it,
you still basically hit goal.
mhm.
You just pushed it a day or
Y-
even you or
no,
did you not?
no, I mean because the drop was going to be on the Friday, which we weren't going to
Anyway,
work.
yeah.
Weren't going to work Friday anyway. So
Right.
we just kind of just narrowed down our focus to just building those drop knives to make sure we got
Nice.
them done, and totally worked out. I mean, yeah, it wasn't too bad. And
Did you did this is a weird segue. So we did a sale on Cyber Monday. Not a sale. Like we had a pre-order running, but the day it finished was Cyber Monday. Shopify shut down the Monday, like morning of Cyber Monday.
are you kidding?
Okay.
Wow.
Maddie noticed it and she was like, this is really weird. Like I can't log in. It was just a little while. Like she couldn't update a page. She had a few little problems
Mm,
like that. And then everything was fine. But there's a bunch of businesses that had like real Cyber Monday sales.
hmm.
And I think it was like a site-wide issue for Shopify.
Wow.
What it made me think about was like we never actually do like a Cyber Monday or Black Friday sale. That's not part
Hmm.
of our like, annual thing, not for
Hmm.
any reason other than we're small and we aren't like planning for that. Have you done any of those? Like, do you hit like a Black Friday?
We did one this year. I in previous years never really did it because really up until this year we were all just doing custom ordering,
Right.
which has a kind of a different thing because getting to this time of year with the custom orders, you're starting to run out of time to get it for Christmas anyway. But this year we're building all those in stock weekly drops, so we decided to
Uh-huh.
do it as a sale this week, and that went good.
Did you do any kind of like discount or anything like that, or
Yeah,
was it just a drop?
yeah, we did a drop with 15%,
Oh wow.
15% off. Yeah, yeah.
Did you notice a difference?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, because we don't really do sales,
Yeah.
so it's like it definitely engages people for sure. I think
That's
it's only the
that's pretty
second
cool.
time we've ever done a sale.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Dude, I love all this stuff. It's funny, like with scale, it's like it unlocks different options,
Hmm.
and you have the ability to like do things that feel more like businessy. I'm doing quote fingers right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, interesting. So freaky though too, because it's like traveling on a holiday, right? Like if you're gonna fly, you don't really want to fly like the day before Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve. Like if
Yeah.
you're doing it strategically, right? Like
Hmm.
your odds of running into some type of problem, I think are higher just based on the volume of travelers.
Hmm.
It feels like that around sales, kind of.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if Shopify is going to have a major problem, the odds that it happens on like the highest traffic day
Yeah.
seem reasonable. I don't know that that is, I don't know if that's like correlation or causation, but it feels
Yeah.
like it's related.
Yeah. Having a standalone sale and not on a mega holiday is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess I just don't know, like in our industry, if like obviously we're kind of like at this point like trained. You almost like you can't avoid seeing Black Friday. Like
Yeah.
every tool company that I follow sent me an email. Dude,
Yeah.
speaking of which, Haas sent out some bangers.
Oh, really?
Oh my Lord. It's real. I know somebody's listening to this and like nodding because it's like 35% off a new machine. And you're just like
Whoa.
0% interest until 2026, like, or 2027. Like, just like
Wow.
crazy, dude. Like,
Yeah.
ugh, it's really tempting.
Yeah. No
They're
kidding.
cranking, man. Another kind of like diversion, but, or digression. Something is changing, I think, with Haas in that they're releasing a ton of support tools,
I've noticed that.
which feels weird to me, kind
Mm.
of. Because I think of like the Haas like product line, and now it's like, oh, you can buy a bandsaw, you can buy a laser, and you can buy like a pallet jack, and you can buy like a all this stuff. I guess it probably makes as much sense as anything else, and it's coming from like a known source, even though it's import equipment.
Y- You know what I think that's for? There's a good chance of, if I had to guess,
What's that?
is small shops, owner operator. It's
Yeah,
probably, I don't know if it's for them as much as it is. Like, imagine if you are a procurement guy
right.
for like Boeing or something, and you
Okay.
just have to spin up a shop.
Sure.
And it's like you just go get a package, and it's like, okay, deliver a shop to us. You know what I
Right.
mean?
So you
Um,
don't think it's small shop.
well, the only reason I don't think so is it's like if you're a small shop owner operator, it's like you're gonna, I don't know, usually you're gonna like value shop, I guess.
Right.
Where it like you have the time to, it's not like you're getting the whole shop all at once kind of thing.
Right.
You're like piecing it together.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
Whereas
not right.
I could see like, an aircraft, something or other manufacturer that's like, we need another machine shop, like a shop. And so they
Right.
build it, and it's like you just have an entire shop just outfitted
Just
basically.
delivered. I
Um,
guess small shop, the nice thing is like you could finance all of
mm,
it at
yeah, it's
Haas
true.
rates, which
It's
is like
true.
Haas is like Harley. Like
Yeah.
anybody can get a loan kind of,
Yeah.
and their rates are great.
Yeah, it's true.
Um, yeah, I was looking through it and like it's kind of hit or miss, but some of the equipment is interesting. Some of it feels overpriced. Um, some of it some of it just seems like now like they're doing weird stuff like you can get uh T-slot inserts now,
Hmm.
like the
Hmm.
rubber ones. And I forget who that company that was making the blue ones is, but it's like, okay, you get the Haas red ones. It's like, well, that's a part that like it makes sense to just buy
Yeah.
from Haas probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, just I don't know, just kind of interesting. Like, dude,
Yeah.
lasers. They brought out like a manual mill, a surface grinder. They brought out like a cherry picker, but with like some machinist functionality.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. It makes sense. It's cool.
Black Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
bought, all I got was a toolbox, Home Depot.
um, a husky.
Yeah. Yeah. We got
One
like
of the.
six Husky boxes in our shop now.
It was a weird question because I was just looking at them yesterday. Is it the 24-inch top by like 48-inch wide?
Might be a little bit smaller than
Or is
that.
it 18 inch?
It's probably 18. Yeah.
18? They're like $300.
Yeah, it was 300. Yeah.
Dude, they just released an army green one.
I know.
Did you see
So
it?
I wanted they have OD green, they have coyote, and they have like a
Oh,
cool like
what?
charcoal gray. Yeah. Our Home Depot is full of them. And I went and I got a black one because all of ours in the shop, we have one red one, but they're almost all black. And this one's only for Cerakote equipment. And I was like looking at the OD green one, I'm like, that looks so cool, but
It's
it's gonna
so
stick
hard.
out like a sore thumb. So
Dude,
I
you know
bought the
your
black
shop
one.
if you're like, dude, that's nice. I'm gonna put that in the house.
I
Like,
know, I know. So I bought the black one. The guy helped me load it. He's like, "Why didn't you get the green one?" I was like, "Oh, dude, now
oh,
you're gonna rub it in." But I would like to buy like I don't have a dedicated toolbox for working on like cars in our
right.
shop because we have so much room. I work on Jeeps and stuff in here all the time, and all my tools are kind of mixed with the shop tools. And I want to buy one of those. Like I like the coyote colored one. I'd like to have a separate one in here. It'd be
Dude,
pretty
color
cool.
coded toolboxes. It make perfect sense.
Yeah.
The Husky boxes are the first thing that has bucked me from my love of the Harbor Freight US General boxes.
Mm-hmm.
They are very good, but they change the sizing.
Mm.
I still think that they're some of the best made boxes, and for the money, like they're insane.
Oh yeah.
But the Husky box from Home Depot, quality wise and price wise, is good enough that like they're excellent. They're very nicely made. They're good dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just turn them into like work tables basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've got
Um,
a handful of the Husky boxes and all the Husky. We got the 8 foot Husky benches all over the place,
I
and
don't think I have any of those.
they don't usually have them in the store because the 8 footers
Right.
anyway. So I order them from Home Depot, and
Are they on wheels?
no. I mean, you
No, those
can.
ones are, yeah.
They have the threaded bottom, but I just put like feet on them.
We're like, as we're outfitting the second shop, I'm trying to figure out like the direction I'm going, but I'm also so still working with OMEP.
Hmm.
And one of the things that they're kind of like looking at is like the flow of that shop based on the workflow. Dude, it's so fun. You would love it so much.
Yeah.
It's all the Toyota, basically like lean manufacturing stuff, but someone bringing in like flow charts. Weird side note on that. Have you seen like the improvement kata?
No.
Dude,
No.
okay. I'm going to hold it up to the screen knowing that like not everyone is watching this, but okay. Improvement kata.
Hmm.
I will share this with you after the show, but it's basically like target condition, current condition, and then you have like, so here's current condition, here's threshold of knowledge. Okay. Here's the obstacles. Okay. The way you do experiments, and then the next target condition. But
Hmm.
it ties into this like 5 questions. And
Oh yeah.
so it's a framework for problem solving that ties into lean. I don't know. It's the first time I've kind of like
If
seen
anyone's gonna
this.
Google it,
Very cool.
KATA, kata.
Yeah. Kata, the improvement
Improvement
kata.
kata. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to look into that, dude. That's interesting.
Um, and they've got it's so you just like see that process of like, okay, someone has to know how to do the thing, and then you have to be able to
Yeah.
teach the thing, and then the thing has to become like trackable,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what we're
Yeah.
playing with.
Certainly a Japanese word.
Dude, I loved it so much. I
Yeah.
just love anything with pictures.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
we've been spending so much time like going over like numbers and like some spreadsheets, and as soon as he started to show me like actual like graphs, I just under like my brain understands it differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really good.
Well, and that picture looks like Sisyphus to me, so hopefully that's not what it's referring to.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. You're right.
um okay, dude, that was fun. That was a lot of just chatter.
Yeah.
You told me that you are making progress on the folder. Can we
I
talk
am.
about that a little more?
Yeah, so I got some hardware on order, and we have our blade coming back from Heat Treat, our one blade that we've made for initial testing. I've built spring bending jigs because you know, bending spring, so I'll
Oh
let that
dude.
little nugget be there. And then we're doing. I've got liner steel going to a laser cutter to start experimenting with materials and heat treat and stuff like that. And we're progressing. I mean, it's moving.
Okay, I guess a lot of questions in there. One, spring bending. Are you bending springs because you want to be able to prototype effectively, and then you would send it to a spring manufacturer, or are
Um,
you going to do it in house?
I think we're going to do it in house for a while because I think the design of the spring is going to evolve quite a bit. And I won't go too much into detail
Yeah,
because reasons, but it's not a conventional spring style.
yeah,
And so we're gonna have to mess with it, I think, for a while. And I'm pretty confident. Thing about spring manufacturing is you're talking big quantity. Like if you don't order thousands, I even
sure.
emailed a couple shops. They're like even 1,000 pieces is almost not enough for them to be interested. And
Hmm.
so it's too risky, in my opinion, to not have like a leg to stand on as far as that design and the adjustments we need to make to it being correct. Not
Right,
that it's even a cost thing because springs are so
right.
cheap to have
So so
made.
cheap.
It's just like I'm not making 5,000 springs when it's like we
You
could
may change it after
potentially improve it.
500
Yeah, or after five, you know what I
or
mean?
after
So,
5. Yeah.
yeah, so we're gonna hand make quite a few springs, which is dumb. It's not the way to do it, but it's a
Yeah,
way
but it's cool.
to improve, you know what I mean? To, you know,
Dude, you don't have to explain yourself to me. I love it. Dude, I mean, that's the thing. Like some of this stuff, it's the making of it is just interesting. So like
hmm
building a spring bending fixture and building springs, I think is just something that is a cool thing to be able to do.
hmm
Doesn't have to be the most efficient method for it to be a worthwhile
Right.
method,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's a way to learn.
Just a way to learn.
Yeah.
That's sweet. Okay. And then you're laser cutting the plates and they are a hardenable steel. So they have, right. So it's like a 17.4 or something like that, probably.
I'm trying 410 first.
Okay.
410 has the right like nominal sheet thicknesses that we need,
Oh,
and
that's
it
cool.
should work. I've hardness tested a lot of liners. Like I took apart a bunch of knives that I have, and then I bought a few and got hardness tests on all of them, and sort of got a range of what people seem to be doing. And it seems to me there's a pretty good chance that most people are using 410 just based on the hardness that I found.
Yeah. And you're probably
Um,
the thickness, availability of material sizes in like mass production really does direct a lot of design choices.
yes, for sure.
If you don't have to engineer a special material to be made, that saves a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, and 410, it's like it's a sheet steel in large part. So
Right.
like a lot of steels you just can't really buy it in like thin sheet, but the 410 they do like 40 thou, 50 thou, 60
Yeah.
thou all day long. And it's fairly precision thickness stuff. And so it seems like a pretty obvious choice if it tests out right. I think it'll work out, but
That's
um
rad.
yeah.
Sweet. So, dude, that's a big step. I mean, this is like it feels like right now this is a lot of the slow work. Like it feels like the new model is essentially pretty close to going together because like when you turn on the burners for production, your system is dialed enough that there's not going to be, I don't think there's a lot of lag time.
Yeah, and yeah, I've said that same thing before, which is like making one is the hardest part
Yeah.
because if you're gonna make one like by hand and just like, Dremel things out and find a way to put it together, then it's just as hard to make the second one. But the way we do it is to make one, we're making production fixtures, or at least
Yeah.
quasi production fixtures. And so by the time we have one, we'll have custom hardware made, we'll have custom spring
Yeah.
bending fixtures made, we'll have parameters for cut parts made, blade fixtures made, bevel grinding fixtures. So, you get the first one off, and of course there's a test and tune after that, but you recharge the system, do another one, do 10, do 20, so it should, yeah, be kind of an avalanche once we have things going, provided we don't run into headaches, which I do plan to run into headaches doing our first folder. So,
Sure. Sure. You bring up like an interesting point there. So from the prototyping side, I go back and forth on this all the time. I realize sometimes that at least with my current process, for building one, a lot of times like doing it by hand could theoretically be faster,
Hmm.
but it breaks down almost instantly.
Hmm.
Right. Like once you're 5 in, you are no longer faster, especially if
Yeah.
it has any kind of like cool feature or complicated detail or like funky machining that you can like get through on the first one.
Yeah.
Um, but like if it was purely prototyping, like if my goal was just to like make a new model and send it to CRKT or Boker and have them reverse engineer it, an argument could be made for doing it by hand,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
still it's where my head is at these days is it's kind of like wasted work in the sense that it has to be reverse engineered versus just doing it in the way that you want it made,
Hmm.
by modeling.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
and
yeah,
I mean, my thoughts on it are if you're designing it and you want to prove out that design ergonomically and size
yeah,
wise, that's where 3D printing comes in. So
yeah,
I've fallen in love with the design by the time I start making fixtures so that I'm
yes,
not making the prototype to see if I like the feel in my hand. You know what I mean? Because
right,
I already should have already known that from the
yeah,
3D print. But the thing about I've found, especially on like a folding knife or something, is that if you don't make the actual fixtures and use the actual tools and the actual shop that's going to do the laser cutting and the actual
yeah,
spring bending jig like that you will use in production,
yeah,
then you haven't really proved much as far as
right,
it working. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, I got one works and I hand bent the spring and I, you know, drilled, handmade or custom one off machine some little parts or whatever.
right,
It's like, cool, that one works. That doesn't mean anything because now
right,
that you're going to build production fixtures and then you're going to make the first knife on those and it's going to be different. You know what I mean?
right,
And there's all these little like angles where if you aren't replicating the real world production for the prototyping,
yeah,
there's variables that you like may not be expecting.
yeah.
So I'm just trying to be as close to the production method as possible.
That makes sense. Yeah, this is something that I always feel there's like a weak link between the like custom maker to collaboration side because like, we're not most of us aren't industrial designers or engineers.
Mm.
And so I've like recently, or I guess over the past couple of years, like when I submit now, like I'm usually submitting some kind of like pretty thorough CAD.
Hmm.
And I'm seeing results that I really like from that. Where I bunch up still is like if I want to make like a custom, there's this push pull of current process is using fixtures. The old way that I made customs was a little more flexible.
Hmm.
And I think there's like a hybrid in there where it's like
Hmm.
not going to a production fixture, but having some generalized fixtures for specifically for prototyping. Like the ability, I think there's a way to take a solid model of a new folder and make 5 of them efficiently without developing production fixturing.
Yeah.
And I think that's like kind of where my head's been at lately because it's that same thing as your spring. It's like I want to iterate, right? I know
Hmm.
there's something I want
Yeah.
to change. I want to see, or from the custom side, like I want to do a different blade shape. I want to do a different inlay or something that I haven't thought about in a production fixture.
Hmm. Hmm.
And this is where you see like I think guys like uh, Dmitry Sinkovich. I think that their like custom process is closer to that,
Yeah,
where
it is.
it's almost like what I would consider like a prototype process. But that's how the finished product is coming out because of the nature and the
Yeah.
quantity. Does that
Yeah, and
track?
yeah, it does 100% because I've seen like on his Instagram and some of those guys where they're window machining with tabs and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
And if they're doing that, that's for maximal flexibility.
Yep.
And they're not pursuing efficiency because the amount of finishing they're doing and detail work they're doing post machining
Right.
is so they're not trying to stack the machine full of parts and make hundreds of these things. So
Right.
it's fine. And that I
Yeah.
totally agree with that as a process.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the ability the ability to do both is is pretty nice. I think for me, like I'm seeing with like production fixturing, I either have to be okay with really being tied into a design or being okay with making new fixtures more often.
Yeah, yeah,
The flex point would be like if you can design production fixturing that has more optionality,
yeah, yeah.
but that's like all this stuff is like it's hard.
Yeah,
Like I'm learning.
blade shape's a killer. I mean,
Blade
handle
shape's a killer.
scales, it's pretty easy to make a handle scale fixture that'll morph, that'll you can do thickness
Right.
differences or different
Inlays,
3D patterns.
textures,
Yeah,
thicknesses,
pretty
contouring, some of that
pretty
stuff.
easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, blade shape, you get a just a can of worms if you change
No
a blade shape
bueno.
most of
It's
the
yeah,
time.
blade shapes are essentially an a new fixture for each, or just like, well, yeah, I guess if it's going, that brings in something else which we could talk about, which is like bevel grinding a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because if you're bevel grinding, that is incredibly relevant. Like you're not gonna, you need a different fixture, right?
Yeah, more well, it depends on what the difference in the
Sure.
shape is, but you could probably design it in a way you could reuse the bevel grinding fixture, but if you did, you're probably not changing the blade shape all that much at that point. You know what I mean? It just depends.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's the blade shape I try to commit to fairly securely and then leave the scales as like a little bit more of a playground.
Yeah.
So as we're prototyping the process right now, not prototyping the knife, prototyping the manufacturing processes, it's like I spent a long time just making sure like this is what we're going to make for the first
Right.
knife so that we can now just okay, the knife is what it is. We're prototyping the process now.
Yeah.
But we could run into a problem where it's like, oh, oversight, something jumped out on the design that I find I don't like or whatever, and we have to remake fixtures. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a risk. Eventually, I have to risk it and start building production fixtures.
Right. Well, and that's like this idea of like not over designing and like I'm having to separate me being a custom knife maker from my company making knives.
Mm,
They are related, but they are also different. This is another one kind of like going through this stuff with OMAP where we're developing like production schedules and kind of like work cycles. And I think Shane saw me kind of like melting down a little bit and
hmm
he's like, listen, he's like, this is the shop schedule. This
hmm
is not your schedule. And he had to remind me of that multiple times because of the types of questions that I was asking. And I just realized I'm like, yeah, it's the muscle memory, like the known style of work is so ingrained
hmm
that as some of this stuff shifts, like it's actually just outside of like my knowledge base almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's where some of this you're like, okay, this is this product. It is done with development. It is now in production.
Right.
Like it is
Yeah.
now being made to these specifications.
hmm
And then I can run
Yeah.
back over to my, troll cave and hammer something out or like, I don't know, grind it out of a piece of wood. But it is really from like a development standpoint and a manufacturing standpoint, I've become incredibly interested in how other companies and other industries like make changes
Yeah.
and how long they keep like a model or,
Yeah. There's a whole discipline or a study around that, and a lot of people refer to it as revision control.
right.
And it seems weird, but like you have to control the number of times you revise, and they have to
Yeah.
be like well established. Because it's like if you are a manufacturer and you're just like if the design's just evolving with like every single day, it's just evolving, evolving, evolving.
Right.
You can run into a lot of issues where it's like parts don't fit anymore, things
Right.
change. There, how do you identify which knife that was? Like, let's say one
Yeah.
comes in for warranty, it's like, oh, this was in between the two times where we had this pivot but not that pivot. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Whereas like revision control, it's like if you have a like a wish list of things you want to change, it's like bundle them together and do like a full revision
Right.
and do like mill a little dot on the handle and
It
it's like
becomes like a
yeah
recognizable, like,
And yeah, and even if the customer
version.
doesn't know it's a different revision,
Right.
it's like you've bundled like we changed the reamer on the pivot hole.
Right.
We changed the thickness on the, liner so the pockets are deeper here or whatever, and then we changed
Right.
the material on the lock stud or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, now you have a bundle and you have like some notation of like that's what we did when that dot appears
When
on the
that,
handle,
right.
versus just a migrating effort of just changing all the time. You know what I mean?
So that's interesting. I guess with folders, I've always done that kind of intuitively. And we
Hmm.
have, like, if you look at Quikens, it's like I think we're on generation 4. And I
Hmm.
don't have, it's not that any of them are like clearly marked. It's that there was enough changes bundled that the changes indicate, like, oh, this one has a lanyard hole. That's generation 1.
Hmm.
Okay, this moved to a pin. Okay, that could be 2 or 3, but now 3 has this feature.
Hmm.
Um, Early on, it's going to sound ridiculous, but like I would make standard models, but I used paper patterns. Tom Crine was actually the one. He was like at my shop at some point, and he was like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you using these? Like, just make a drill template out of hardened steel and then make that." And like, obviously, like huge shift, and it made sense. But with the paper patterns, I was doing that like constant revision where I'd
Yeah.
have like, it's like binder paper or like thick paper, right? Folder paper or something. But I was able to tweak a line, and
Hmm.
every version of a knife was different. And what I realized was they were basically getting changed so much that I would have been better off just designing a new model and leaving the first model alone.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that like roundabout way of like
It's like
experiencing
it's
that
like
lesson.
scope creep.
Totally.
Yeah.
It just starts to move, and I'm like, this is not the same knife.
For
Same
that
name.
for that same, it's a similar kind of vein where when I'm sketching a knife, designing a folder or something, or just prepping a design for another company or whatever, I've always found that I'll sketch something and I'll be like, yeah, I like that. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But what if the blade was totally different? I have
Yeah.
this other vision. What I do is I'll like take a picture of it with my phone and then erase the blade and start changing it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I like that too. And it's like you find a series of like local maximums, I would call them, where it's like
Right.
I optimized for this blade shape and that's about as good as I could make it look. And then I erased it and then went with this shape and
Yeah.
got it about as good as I could look. And so my one sketch will, over like days, I might have like 10 or 15 photos of it.
Yeah.
And the last photos look nothing like it. And the reason I started doing that is like I've had in the early days, I would keep migrating, but like, I think I can make it a little better. I think I can make it a little
Yeah.
better. And then I realized like I followed the wrong path. And
Yeah.
back when it was like this, I
Yeah.
preferred
It
it,
was
but
better.
now it's gone. You know what I mean? And
And
so
you're talking about doing this in SolidWorks or Fusion.
no, on
No,
paper.
this was on paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I make sure I get a photo of every time I stop and look and think that's pretty good, I could go with that. They take a photo,
And then you take a
then
photo.
start modifying. So like,
So I guess I do the same thing. I'm pointing over my shoulder to the light
mm,
table. I do that. I'll sketch a model, like it, see a change, go to the light table,
trace it.
trace,
Yeah, that's a better
change.
way.
You know what I like about it is that I get I get a tangible project. So like I can go down to my filing cabinet and I'm like, oh, here's all the sketches for
Time
this
lapse.
model.
Yeah.
It's time lapse, but it's like also time capsule because
Hmm.
that's the stuff that I love from other makers,
Yeah.
right? Like if I
Yeah.
could have, insert maker, X, their
Hmm.
filing cabinet for all their designs for 20 years and like the thought process behind it, I would
Yeah.
love to see that. And I'm like, I'm gonna do that. In Fusion, I started doing something similar because now that I'm getting more like fluid with it, it's it's like almost too easy to start making like big jumps
Hmm.
and then like not get back to. And so I started saving, um, basically creating the milestones. I saw there's a milestone button. And so it's like, okay, I like this here. I make it a milestone. I know I can always go back to that
Yeah.
point. Um, yeah, I guess it's just like saving your work as you go, but in a different way
Yeah.
because so much of this is kind of subjective and like you don't know where a design is always going to go, but
Hmm.
it's not uncommon, I don't think, to find a design that is good on your way to another design that is
Yeah,
also
exactly.
good.
Yeah, because you're right. It could be you want to pursue that and say like,
Yeah.
well, this I wanted this knife to be small, so I'm going to go this way.
Yeah.
But if I want it to be a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
this right here would be the way. And so I'm going to
Yeah.
save that and do something different.
Do
Yeah.
something different with
Yeah.
that. And then, I mean, it just starts to get to this point where you look and you have these different, like almost like root structures that you can pull from and just be like, oh, I like these lines. Like I'm going to take this and like move this blade shape over into here. And I think
Hmm.
for a lot of us, like you either find there's like lines like or series of product that we will make where the design language is kind of similar.
Hmm.
And at
Hmm.
that point, you can like start to kind of like Lego it together, which is pretty neat,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? Dude, this
Yeah. I
stuff's
was
fun.
visiting Ken Onion back in the day, and he showed me some cool stuff. So he's like, "Yeah, I'll find a line that I love. Like, let's say it's the grip well, the bottom of a knife handle, where it like feels really good in the hand, and it has like that curviness that he was so known for. He's like, he would create an acrylic stencil
Yep.
of that grip well, and so he'd have a stack of acrylic stencils of like
Yeah.
this belly shape on a blade, just sharpens so nice. It looks so
Just looks good.
sleek. It
Yeah.
just and so he'd like throw the belly of the blade down as a line and
Right.
then do a different design off of it. But he had like it wasn't even the designs that he was
No.
cataloging, it was the lines, individual
Well,
lines.
and what's cool about that is, I mean, essentially he's making a French curve,
Yes,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Okay. So French curves are awesome.
Hmm.
What Ken is doing is a custom French curve that's based on like his knowledge of knives and what he likes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this stuff, like the process that other makers use sometimes, and especially like guys like Ken, you can learn so much from that.
hmm,
Um, dude, I love that. That's great. I used to
yeah,
do that for grinds where I'd be like, I would do these big swoopy grinds and I would basically create like Kydex templates so I could mark them,
yeah, yeah.
but just so I have something real to follow for this like big swoopy blade.
Yeah, and with those curvy lines, I've found that if you're doing something really swoopy, you'll hit it and you'll get like a perfect alignment.
Yep.
And it's not parallel, it's not
No.
mathematical. It just works like the way it tapers or the way it
Yeah.
flares.
Yeah.
And it's like impossible to do it again, kind of
Yeah.
in a way. Because it's like you do it again, you're like, now it doesn't look the same. And I don't
No.
know why. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But that's a good idea where it's like, okay, I'm gonna just replicate that curve.
Yep.
And yeah, curves are interesting like that in the human eye and how they play together.
Well, we talk about that a lot with knives, right? Which is like visual center versus like actual center.
Yeah.
Knives have like funky things in the way that they read visually, where like a
Hmm.
pin placement may not actually be in the center of your tang to look centered.
Yes. Yeah.
Or maybe it's not even to look centered, but it's like to look pleasing,
Yes. Hmm.
right? That's one thing with like doing things more in CAD. I think my eye is looking for what it was always like doing and sketching, but I also notice like there's a tendency for me to like make like a really concentric arc or like do something like on a specific size
Hmm.
where I think I fight that now, but like I know to fight it because I do want something that is off, just like slightly off of
Yeah.
the norm.
Yeah.
And
And
you know,
and then you're talking about Sinkovich. He's a classic example because a chamfer can be just a chamfer, or it could be
totally.
a Sinkovich chamfer,
Yep.
which is it's not parallel. It's its own curve. It doesn't
Yeah.
follow the actual
Yeah.
lines,
Yeah.
and somehow it's just insane how it works. And so that's just
Yeah.
a classic example of that.
That's prime,
Yeah.
right? He
Hmm.
doesn't pick the edge of a frame and chamfer it.
Yeah.
He adds a secondary
A
line,
ghost a ghost edge. Yeah.
runs that in, then fillets a line coming up to that, and you get these like beautiful structures.
Yeah.
Dude, now I'm all psyched on design.
Yeah.
I
No kidding.
last night I was showing you, I was messing around with like a little like key dangler thing. I've been trying to do these like when I'm feeling really creative, but I'm also busy, I default to like these 30-minute blocks. And so
Hmm.
last night I did like a 30-minute design exercise. Sometimes I'll do like my 30-minute like forging stuff, just like something to like feel motion. The problem is if I do them at night, it like kicks up the hyper focus.
Hmm.
I couldn't fall asleep till 1 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
It just started like sparked my brain enough that like I couldn't undo it.
Yeah.
It's an
I know
interesting,
the exact feeling because when I go lay down to go to bed, if I feel my brain wandering into like a
yeah,
rabbit hole where it's like I'm gonna solve this problem in my head. Either it's a problem or like an exciting problem,
yeah,
something like what bumper am I gonna put on the Jeep or something? You know, it
yeah,
could be something like that. It's like stop. If you start
yeah.
thinking about
Now
that,
is a bad
you're
time.
gonna get excited and you're not gonna sleep. And I think about that with knives or manufacturing. It's like just yeah, I have to set it aside. I have the same issue.
It's so funny. Um, Dude, we were gonna talk about bevel grinding a little bit since
Hmm.
I'm in it right now and it like ties to kind of all of this stuff. What what do we talk about it? Like what do you based on what you're seeing me kind of do and struggle
Hmm.
with, what is
Well,
something helpful?
you're at the stage of fixture design,
Right.
which um, one of the things I've always thought about is like the make our own fixtures versus have them made.
Yeah.
Because most people I see out there making their own, and I can
Yeah.
see the merit in that.
Yeah.
But I guess the reason that I have done it a different way and have kind of thrown it your way to maybe try it that way is like um, if you're making a bevel grinding fixture for a knife, it is for a production operation because you're
Right.
not going to make a one-off custom and build a bevel grinding fixture and program it. You know what I mean? You're going to hand grind it, right?
Here's a
So,
distinction though. I'm not going to, but there are guys who would.
right.
Only in that if you're in like maybe like the new school of kind of like
Hmm.
the CNC side and you didn't start hand grinding blades, that might actually not be in the skill set.
Yeah,
It
it's
might just be
true.
like I need to build a bevel. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
cup wheel grind it. Okay.
yeah,
For
true.
me right now, we're building a production fixture to
Yeah.
do bevels on the Kihoku and the turn.
Yes, yeah, and a lot of the fixtures that I see, the ways that you could make it with like different compound angled individual pieces and whatnot, um, you could do all that and like mount it to a Pearson if you
Yeah.
wanted. But for me, like a single just Pearson pallet that is the fixture that you can take
Monolithic.
off and put back on, and the
Yeah.
speed of changeover is huge
Yeah.
to me. Because you can take a vise and soft jaw and mill the soft jaws to have one angle, and then mill another soft jaw to hold the top plate and mill the other angle, and then put it in the jaws with
Right.
you can do like a I've done that before with a different style of setup, and it's like yeah, but the setup it's I want to push a button and put the fixture in the machine and take the fixture out, right? And so that's why I pay
Right.
someone else to make it with a 5 axis machine. And so it just works really slick, and I think it's cool. But the reason I brought this up is figuring out ways to rapidly bevel grind something
Yeah.
in like for example this folder we're working on putting a bevel on that knife means we're waiting for that shop I'm seeing where if we had like a parallel process that
Oh
you could
yeah,
do like
dude.
basically a mock-up like what would be the fastest way to do that not for production but what would that look like if you had some sort of I don't know if it's like a really durable type of sign plate or so, you know what I mean? I'm starting to look down that path of prototype
That was
grinding.
as we went through this, and I guess this ties into our whole conversation about like prototype
Hmm.
process and the ability to do something once or twice. Looking at this, I do like there is a way to do this, dude. My brain just like kicked in a really weird thought. I'm going to send you a picture of a type of fixture that I have that may actually be an option for this. We'll maybe we can add it to like the video
Y-
too if it works.
you know what's a crazy thought too? What if it was 3D printed?
So that was the other thing that I'd been thinking, like a really solid 3D print, even a printed base plate or spacer. So like
Yeah.
where I was thinking was like, on a skateboard, you have your trucks and your board, and then you can have a riser between the
hmm
two.
hmm
It's almost like a riser with angles,
With a compound angle. Yeah.
with a compound angle. Um, I feel, I don't, and this is the thing. Everything that I'm thinking is completely just philosophical because I don't know. I haven't done a cup wheel grind. I don't know the pressure it's putting on. I don't
Mm.
know how much force is being exerted.
hmm
So, but that is kind of where I was like, man, it is like to have this fixture built by a shop with 5 axis. It increases the timeline and like you're just adding complexity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you get, I think this makes perfect sense once something is in production process.
Yeah. The end result of a single Pearson palette that has
Yes.
everything is
Everything there.
ideal.
Right.
Yeah. It's not rapid. It's not iterative. I
So
I think you could probably 3D print the whole fixture like a block and print it really heavy and solid and just put it in a vise and you could do it. And the reason being is with bevel grinding, you you're it's all downforce. That's the big
right.
part. So you don't need like a ton of hold down and a ton of grip because the part just needs to have some feature like a large pin that you pressed in to keep it from spinning or clocking out of
Right.
place. And then everything else is downforce. So as long as the print's solid, I don't think you're going to get as good a finish as you would get on like a actual aluminum fixture. But as far as like getting a working bevel grind,
For a prototype,
I think it would work. I think it would work.
or maybe there's a hybrid, like some type of hybrid aluminum slash 3D printed
Yeah, yeah.
version. Or so like my thought originally was like, oh, sign plate. We'll add some pictures or maybe Levi can chop some video up for this, but you have multiple angles. And
Mm,
so the way that TJ designs these fixtures, you could theoretically surface some of it,
hmm
but not, but like holes are an issue because they're at an angle. Like, and you could, I'm sure like a very good machinist could fixture all of this like with sign plates and do it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at that point, then you really are, I think, at a point of diminishing returns
hmm
in terms of time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So there's somewhere in the middle. It's like the way that we have this one designed for the Kihoku, awesome. I can send it off, I get it back, I can run bevels. If I want to change the bevel, I have a new fixture made.
Yeah.
Right. So like for instance, if I wanted to offer a near flat, like basically flat ground version and like a deep hollow ground version,
hmm
I would run a different fixture for the hollow ground version.
hmm
Okay.
hmm
Not a big deal. Like that's easy. But in the prototype process, yeah, it would be sick to be able to like 3D print or set. Dude, I'm going to send you this fixture that I have. I bought it a
Yeah.
long time ago for lock fitting, but the criteria is kind of similar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I
Cryptic.
might play with 3D printing a fixture.
How would like do you ever watch Mark Rober? I think that's
Yeah.
his
Oh
name.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Boys have been watching, dude. Okay. One digression. Right now, boys are 5 and 8. I have never watched Forged in Fire all the way through. We started watching it with the boys.
hmm
Dude, I love it so much. We're having
Nice.
so much fun watching it.
Cool.
Um, Mark Rober, obviously, and then Robot Wars or BattleBots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, BattleBots is so fun. It started in like 2000.
I was gonna say I remember watching it like as a small kid, but I don't remember recently watching it.
Dude,
Yeah.
the we're watching one. It might be from like 2018. It's really because I had seen early ones and I had friends that were like engineer types that were kind of into that, and they would talk about like these robots, right? Like the BattleBot thing. Seeing the types now that people make is really interesting,
Hmm.
and it's just like I don't know, evolutionary, where you're like, oh, you have like a vertical spinner or like a flipper or a horizontal. Like some of these things will like flip another bot like 20 feet.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Where was I going with that? Because that was my brain on a massive
We were ta-
tangent.
well, we were talking about Mark Rober
Mark Rober.
first.
So here was my question. How would he test that? So
Yeah.
if you wanted to test how much force is being exerted by cup wheel grinding, you would need like a downforce sensor and then like a pin that was a sensor,
Yeah, yeah. Load cells.
like a load cell. Yeah.
Well, one you do have one indication of the load, which is the spindle load meter on the machine, because
Spindle load meter
it's
first
telling
out of
you
the
how
gate.
much resistance is on the wheel,
Yeah.
and it's very small. It's like 1 or 2%, I want to say. Um, but 1 or 2% of what though? So
Right. 1 or 2% of the spindle, and it's on a
yeah.
6 inch wheel. Like it could be exerting enough force that like shear force or shear
Hmm.
strength or something is of a 3D printed plate might not hold up.
Well, I wonder if you like 3D printed a heavy block like 3 inches thick and like
Yeah.
print it virtually solid, and
Yeah.
then for your pins, put them like 2 inches long. So
two
it's
inches
like,
long, or you could put sleeves in.
hmm
So you could have like an oversized sleeve. I mean, there's a lot of ways. Dude, I remember when I first started seeing people really 3D print fixtures and the types of parts they were fixturing. And like at first, there's this almost like cringe, like, ooh, and then it works.
yeah, yeah,
So we know it works.
yeah, yeah. I think it's rigid enough to do quite a lot. The issue is just the durability. It's just repeat use. Because if you 3D print a solid block and you just set it
Yeah.
up in the right way, I mean, it's pretty dang strong. It's a solid block of plastic. I
A
mean,
solid block. And you could
yeah.
probably pick a composite or a filament that supports it.
Hmm.
But again, okay, so if you can do that and you can do it quick and you get 100 blades out of it
Or
in 3D,
I'm thinking one blade. I'm thinking
one
like,
blade. So you
yeah,
think this, okay.
yeah. I'm just thinking of like proving a program before you have a fixture
Mm,
made. You know what I mean? Is all.
dude, I love this.
So,
I would be curious if any of you guys are listening and you're messing with this, we would love to know.
mhm.
Um, because I do like as I'm learning this, I'm seeing that as like just one limitation. And I think I'm always going to rail against being tied in to a production method. I
Mhm.
like flexibility. I realize I can't have it all the time, but I really am liking these little middle grounds where I can find like a hybrid.
Yeah, yeah.
This might be that hybrid.
And the other thing is just ponying up and buying a fourth axis, because a five axis is obviously ideal because it solves all the issues all at once. But with a fourth axis, you could easily make like the fixture by having it in two pieces. You know what I mean? Because all of the first angle of our like tip down is pretty much the same on all our knives. So you could use the fourth
Right.
axis to make a Pearson pallet that's at that angle, and
Then flip it.
then use the fourth axis to make little smaller pieces that get bolted onto that, just as like a rapid way to set up and prototype. So I mean, as far as being a more
Why
expensive
would you
route,
not be able to do Why would you not be able to do it like a monolithic fixture on fourth axis? I understand you'd have to like index it, but why could you not?
you have to get two angles at once,
You have to get them at, well, you have to get two angles,
but you
but
could do
why at
the
once?
you could get like if you put your fixture on the fourth axis, you could tip it, let's say 2 degrees tip down.
Right.
You could deck that,
You
right?
deck that. Yep.
Then you turn it 90 degrees and put it on
Yep.
the fourth axis, put the knives on it, and
Yeah.
then get your second angle with the fourth itself. So the
Yeah.
fixture is
So
just a one.
you get
Yeah.
second angle, third angle,
Yep. Yep.
right? I'm doing a
You could.
really weird hand motion
Yep.
for you
You
guys
could
that
do
can't
that.
see.
Yep.
So that, and you could make, but you need to, so you pull the fixture, you reorient it, but there's a way. So I guess that's another question is, right. It's a lot of this comes down to the equipment that you have and then your
Yeah.
knowledge base. Like,
Yeah. And that's where I run into the tough. It's like, okay, fourth axis, not cheap.
right,
Setting that all up, days of effort,
right.
or pay like $800 and just have it. You know what
And
I
just
mean?
have it.
So
Again,
that's
I
kind
think
of
it depends if the goal is to make one model that is incredibly dialed in real numbers.
hmm
I think that sending it off to the 5-axis shop makes perfect sense. I think that if you are more of an R&D maker, hobbyist with like a
hmm
lot of skill or kind of more maybe like leaning more towards the custom side but want to know this, that maybe one of these other methods works. If you have fourth axis or fifth axis, obviously none of this is an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
Really, fifth axis makes it not an issue. Fourth axis requires some figuring out,
hmm
and maybe we're at a point where we can figure out 3D, or you could be doing it with like sign plates and like,
Yeah, yeah.
old school. But yeah, just kind of an interesting, like now that I'm starting to like really understand what's happening. That was my first thing, was just like, dang, I want this now and I want to try it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like I can't. I
Yeah.
have to like wait.
Yeah, I know. And the other variable there is how many new models are you doing? You know what I mean? Because for us, we do like
Right.
one or maybe two a year. And it's
Yeah.
like, so it's very hard to justify setting up like a fully adaptive four axis, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
When it's like, I pay $800 for a fixture twice a year. It's like, I could do that
Right.
forever and it'll
Right.
be fine.
Yeah.
But,
Unless you're going to use that fourth axis for more jobs, then it
hmm
doesn't really make sense. Um, I always lean into, I'm like, I will buy a piece of equipment so that I can do one simple thing because I like equipment, but I understand that that is not
Well,
the best decision.
one of the catches for me is like the fourth axis takes up a ton of room.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You
it's
almost
like,
need a different machine or a
yeah,
bigger machine for it.
yeah. And the X9 has a lot of room, but still it's like you're taking up half the table to get that fourth axis. Not the
Right.
thing itself, but like the usable space of it
Right.
is a pretty big envelope. So I
The
thought about it.
X9 though is an interesting case for that
hmm
because like, do you need that half of a table that you're
Probably
taking up?
not. The X9's gigantic, so you could probably make it work.
It would be like if you have like a VF2 probably, right? Like comparable.
It's VF2 YT
Yep.
size.
Okay.
So it's VF2 width, which I believe is 30,
Yep.
and then it's the YT depth, which I believe is 20,
Yeah. So that's a big
30 by
table.
20. Well, and that's 30 by 20 is the work envelope, and the table's bigger than
Oh,
that.
wow. Okay. Yeah, dude. Okay, we're like super nerding out on this,
hmm
but it's I think it as it becomes more and more common, I do think that like the prototype method of this,
hmm
one, I think it's already being done by somebody.
hmm
You have your criteria around like the quality and how it's done, but I bet someone is doing it.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing that you can look at is maybe prototyping is really an area where just milling bevels is still king,
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
right? Where you don't have to go to a cup because the beauty of the cup is the quality
And the speed.
and the speed
hmm
over large numbers.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you just are, milling a bevel with a bull nose
Yeah.
and then going to a grinder, it's fine.
And just the tooling costs,
And the
because
tooling
you're
costs.
going to, especially on like the, Magna cuts and stuff, as you know, milling bevels
Ugh.
creates a pretty big carbide bill.
Dude,
Pretty,
I have just had like a very good lesson in like estimate. So on the turn, I milled the bevels soft, heat treated, and my plan had been to stone the bevels. Dude, I can't stone the tooling marks out.
Mm,
Just couldn't get it. Went through like a
mm,
huge deep dive with the dye profiler, went through all these different stone types. Like, can do it. It's just the amount of time to do it is like unreasonable.
mm,
So I basically just went to hand grinding them.
mm,
Um, but it was an interesting lesson because I just now I know like, okay, if I put in on this batch, if I had put in maybe a little more time, like slowed things down a little bit, I think on beveling, I think I probably could have stoned them.
mm, mm.
Um, but it's just, dude, it's like every time you change one thing, just learning
Yeah.
like what the downstream effects of that are.
Yeah. And that right there is kind of the case in point of like you have to prototype the process.
Right.
And the first model you're doing is like just a mule
Yeah.
to prototype the process. Because it's there's just a million little variables that are so unpredictable.
Yeah.
And for us moving to a folder, we have a lot of the variables pretty tight with like
Right.
making a blade or whatever, but we're introducing a whole new batch. So
You change.
yeah.
I will say, like, if there's an upside to this, is I did catch myself in the middle. Like, I made a choice to not run all of the tangs that I had with
Hmm.
bevels. I ran, yeah, I think I have 60. I ran 30 or something because I wanted to test the
Yeah.
process.
Verify. Yeah.
And now I'm going to change it. And I was like, okay, good. That's like a good decision. That's a save.
Hmm.
Like, I still have 30. I wish I'd run 10, but it's like small things. We did the same thing with sheathing because we were basically making sheaths to knives we that weren't fully finished.
Hmm.
But so I was like, we're just gonna make 15. They're very close, but we're probably gonna make at least like one or two little tweaks.
Yeah.
Didn't run 60 sheaths.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
this is all new stuff for me.
it's one thing that I realized early on in that exact scenario you're describing, where it's like you're risking sending something to a new heat treater, you're
Yeah,
risking going to a water jetter, you're risking XYZ.
yeah,
If like let's say you have, I don't know, 8 sheets or 8 pieces or 8 somethings, and you're deciding what to do, or like you have 60 knives. Um, my what I kind of found was like if you're deciding that you're not going to risk all 60 on the new process,
yeah.
the like intuitive thing is like I'll do half, right?
Right.
And that's what I would do. But it occurred to me it's like if you're gonna break it into a
Yeah.
2 piece batch, there's no reason that it has to be half
No.
because it's two in either case it's 2 batches.
Yeah.
So it's like if you did 1 and 59
Yeah.
or 10 and 50 or
Yeah.
whatever it is, like
Yeah.
in all scenarios, you're still doing 2 batches.
You basically want
So
minimum viable product
yeah,
to test the process
yeah,
and no more than that.
yeah, because
So it could have been 10. 10 pieces for
mm,
me would have given me all of the answers that I needed for
mm,
every step. Arguably could have done it in 5, but 10 feels like a very reasonable number. So I would have had 20 knives that probably wouldn't have taken me the same amount of time to develop process around. But like you said, it's really intuitive. Just be like, oh, I'll just run half.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Those are like, I feel like those are the learning like steps that start to make a lot of difference over time because cumulatively, if you did that over multiple designs, like that's real time,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yeah, and like because it's like you're on the right track. You're not willing to risk the whole batch. But if you're not if the process you're going to test is that in question that you're not going to risk the whole batch, then you can just do one or two. And that saved us. Like we were messing around with laser cutting versus water jet,
Yeah,
and we had like 8 sheets of A2 tool steel, and we sent one sheet for the laser, and it just didn't work out. And so it's just one of those things that it saved us. And I just remember getting burned with, like you said, like sending. There was one time where I decided to stone. We were stoning, milling bevels and stoning after heat treat, milling
right,
soft, stoning after heat treat. And I thought, what if I stone like halfway through while they're still soft, so
right.
that when they come back,
Makes perfect sense.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, so I stoned them all soft, like not to completion, but like somewhat. They came back, the scratches were deeper. because it's so soft that the
Right.
stone just drops material as you're stoning and it just ingrains it through the steel and you end up with like smaller, finer scratches but deeper.
But
And so you actually have to stone even further. So not only are you stoning twice, and I stoned them all. And it was like one of
right.
those things that it's like if I don't trust this, I could just do one. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
It's really hard though. That is when we talk about like designing in CAD, it's really easy to almost hit autopilot and just start like free form, like just making changes that like make sense. But then you actually get to a point, it's like breadcrumbs where you're like, oh shit, like how do I get back there?
yeah,
Right. I think that is like the learned, that's just experience where you're like, there's natural stopping points in development
yeah,
that you just like can't let yourself just get caught up in or it costs
yeah.
you down the line.
And that feeling of like, okay, I found something that does work. It's kind of like what we've discussed in the past, where it's like it's it's not efficient, but it's repeatable.
Yeah.
Like I get good results repeatably, it's just not efficient. And then you kind of cling to that and do like minor experiments in a bunch of different directions to find a more efficient way.
Yeah.
And then you start to get some results from an experiment. You change something. Now start to do like, okay, next batch, I'm doing 20% of them that new way. Now I'm doing
Yeah.
50% of that new, now
Yeah.
100%. And it's like, because once you find something that's repeatable
Yeah.
and it's continuing to repeat, like it's really, really, really valuable. And
Yeah.
so even if it's inefficient, it's so valuable to have something that's repeating.
Yeah.
And so don't like in a hurry jump off of it to go to like a new shiny thing.
Yeah.
I learned that for sure early on
Well,
too.
and that's the
Still am.
reason, like the goal with the turn was really like to remove the necessity for me to hand grind them. This will be like
Hmm.
once it's fully like running, like we consider it like a Burnley like shop built knife, right?
Hmm.
So in that, the stoning doesn't have to be as efficient as me grinding it,
Yeah.
but it has to be repeatable and it can't be like, man, there's just a level of efficiency that like I don't care if it's not me doing it. If it's not up to that, like it doesn't feel human efficient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I've heard it's crazy because like I've heard some numbers where I'm like, you're spending how much time on this like one thing? And I get it. It's like someone is like doing that. It's a
Hmm.
job, but it just seems like wasted
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but that's kind of that's that thought is like right now I'm focused on like the quality of it and stability. If
Hmm.
it's repeatable and teachable, it's super valuable. And then it just has to have like there has to be like a point where it crosses, you
Hmm.
know, into an efficiency that is reasonable.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so like the way that we're dealing with this actually ties perfectly into that like improvement kata, that I showed you is okay. We know we have things that we can like test. So the next thing that I'll test will be changing my feeds and speeds, which will make it slower to pull that part off, but might like cut the time processing by 10x on the tail end.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's like a quantifiable thing that when I do it, we'll be able to test it and see. And to your point, I'm not going to run 30. I will run less
Yeah. Yeah.
and test that process.
Right.
Minimum viable number. Pretty
I
good.
like it.
Yeah. Dude, what do you think? Should we wrap it?
I think so. I think Dalton's speaking of stoning. He's actually waiting for us to finish so he can
Oh,
stone.
really?
He can run the old like two stroke
Yeah.
sounding thing out
Fire
there.
fired up.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yep.
Guys, thanks for listening. Seriously, I know some of you guys are wicked smart and messing around with couple grinding. If you've got solutions or playing with some of the same concepts, we would love to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
We're contribute to the Reeve Grinding Brain Trust if you feel
the,
like it.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's do this. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I will see you soon, man. Hopefully, talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All
Peace.
right. Peace.